And we are live here on Bowles.tv, BOLES.television. I'm David Bowles, and this is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And today is Thursday, I think. Tomorrow's Friday. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a couple of new little things here that have been clawed off of my body. Yesterday, I went to the skin doctor for my monthly checkup. A couple of things that he didn't like, but he said, yeah, they're okay. So one thing that was growing here was 3 months ago also sort of growing on my eyelid that he cut off, and we biopsied, and it was okay. At least it wasn't a hungry kitty, Mr. Gordon says. Not sure what we're talking about, but it's early, and maybe we both just woke up. So I said since the last time I'd been there that there were these new things popping up on my upper eyelid. And he said, okay. Gordon says, well, you mentioned clawing, and I was saying it was better than a kitty. Okay, got it. Good. Now it's time for a dad joke. I really want to buy one of those supermarket checkout dividers, but the cashier keeps putting it back. Ooh, now I think that's the first one we've had that's just like a down. So I guess you're in line, you want to buy a supermarket divider, so you take it to buy it, but the cashier puts it back? Is that the joke? I don't know. But that's the kind of first bummer I think that we've had so far. The others have been sort of funny. So he said, well, and so then I said, because he didn't really think it needed to be cut off, but there's like a cluster of 3 or 4 things on there. 3 of them were flat, which I have a lot of, and then the other one was kind of puckered, which reminded me of what he cut off of my eyelid. And cutting something off your eyelid right above your eyelashes is very interesting. It's a interesting procedure. Gordon says, a friend of mine joked, my grief counselor died last week, but he was so good, I don't care. Funny. That's a good one. I wish we had some way we could add these to that database. But it's somebody's website, it seems. So I don't know if we can submit or not. I'll have to check into that. So he didn't really want to cut it off. But I said, so, if I were to, get a scalpel myself from Amazon, which you can get. Very sharp scalpels. All sorts of different sizes. And they're cheap and very, very, very sharp. And if I were to, let's not say cut it off, but if I were to gently scrape it, would it be done, or would I have to keep scraping it forever and it would keep growing back? And that's where he kind of, actually threw his hands in the air and said, you want it off? Y'all do it. And he opened his drawer and he pulled out a syringe, put it in my upper eyelids. Now, I'm not saying that he put too much or too little, but for the rest of my day, this half of my face was numb. When it did my eyelid, I didn't even know it was numb. But the upper eyelid thing, sawing it around all day like this. Yeah. And this hurt. It's like one dig out and then like a scraping. So I was very thankful that he did that. He gave me a little piece of gauze that I held up on my forehead. And then he did the acid pencil and sent me off to blue light. I said, well, are we biopsying that? He said, no. I told you it was nothing. But if you want it off, you want it off. I'm very grateful. because I would have done something myself. Because in the past, I have been my own skin doctor. The freezing stuff from Dr. Scholl's, very effective at removing things, but not very specific. Like if you have a little tiny thing you want to get rid of, Dr. Scholl's is going to get rid of a big area because you really can't pinpoint how it affects you. It just sort of gets you in a whole general area, which is why I like the scalpels, because if you're tough enough, you can put a little bit of ice on there and then scrape it off. Not that I've done that. I mean, not that I'm admitting that I've done that, but there are people who do that when they don't have a good skin doctor who's willing to help you, like mine is now. It took me 30 years to find a guy, but now he's just very helpful. So I knew I wasn't going to try to freeze this off because I would not freeze something that close to my eye. And you're supposed to hold the freeze stuff on for 30 seconds. For my skin, which is very tough and unforgiving, it's like 60 seconds. And now I have to wait for the skin to pop. So it goes, pow, like a gunshot, right? Then I know, okay, now I know it's frozen enough that it will eventually die and fall off. And that's the problem. You go to regular skin doctors and they shoot you with their little Freon thing, their freeze thing. And I tell them, look, with my skin, that's not enough. You got to do 3 times that. Oh, no, that would frostbite you. I said, no, it's not going to frostbite me. You got to go till it pops. No, I've done enough. So sure enough, a week, 2 weeks later, my skin heals. Nothing happens. I go back for my checkup. And they look at the notes, and they look at my skin, and they look at their notes, and they look at my skin. I said, didn't we do a procedure on you last time? I said, well, that's an interesting question, because I think you tried to, but it didn't work. What do you mean it didn't work? That's why, as much as I don't like being burned, the idea of my current doctor, the old school guy, of burning stuff off me is much more effective. And very specific and very narrow. I mean, it can burn like, it's over. But the freezing stuff, it tends to be a wide area. So now I know that if I ever go to a different skin doctor, I got to say, look, if it's on there, you either have to cut it off or you have to burn it off. Put the freeze away. I know that's easy. It's simple, safe, quick for you. You don't have to worry about anything burning me or making a wrong cut. You just kind of spray it and see what happens. But it takes forever and it doesn't work. So then, because I am who I am, I said, hey, what do you know about this monkeypox? Have you seen any of it? He's a dermatologist. And he said, no, I haven't seen one case of monkeypox. And I said, but isn't it everywhere? He said, yeah, it is. It's a big thing, but I don't see it. And then he went on to nicely explain to me that monkeypox is very painful. And when people get it, they really feel awful. So they go to their primary care doctor, and the primary care doctor looks at them and examines them. And then the primary care doctor finds the pustules, the monkeypox, and then treats it right there in the office. With medication and rest. And so they never get referred to a dermatologist because people, when they're not feeling well, don't go to a dermatologist. They go to their primary care. So I said, well, that's really interesting. So, I subscribe to the New England Journal of Medicine, and I've seen these images of penises and anuses, and it just looks ravaging. And then he said to me, are you having sex with men? And I said, no, but I have a show, I do this, my wife talks about monkeypox, we're interested in the monkeypox. She teaches, people come in and out of classrooms, which is going to be in the fall. We want to know what's going on with monkeypox. And then, I guess he was just being careful, thinking that I was trying to bring up a topic that I needed help with. But that wasn't why I was talking about monkeypox. Because I'm sure not a lot of people go into his office to talk to him about monkeypox. They say, give me the blue light special and get out. And then he said, well, I just read. So then he was interested. They said, well, I just read this article this morning about monkeypox in dogs. And I thought he was telling me a dad joke. Did you hear about the dog who got the monkeypox? He couldn't stop eating bananas. And I said, I've never heard of human to animal to human transfer of monkeypox. And he said, oh yeah, I read about it this morning. I said, where exactly did you see this? And he got out his phone and he looked it up. He said, do a search on monkeypox in dogs and you'll find it. And then he found it on his phone from Yahoo News. So then I came home and I looked, and this is what I found. What? How to keep your pets safe from monkeypox, and what to do if they get it. And the story was that he read it to me as I'm bleeding, holding my thing, bleeding, that this couple had monkeypox and their dog sleeps on their bed, and you interact with your dog, you pet your dog, you kiss your dog. They gave their dog monkeypox. And that's the first known cross-species contamination of monkeypox. And they said, my doctor said, if humans can give it to their dogs, you know, dogs can give it to other dogs, and then their dogs will give it to their people as when they're pet and kissed. Monkeypox, which has now 12,000 cases in the U.S., affects humans with fever and rash. But the virus is zoonotic, meaning it is spread between animals and humans. Yes, you can give it to your pets, and vice versa. However, there are no recorded reports of the U.S. of viruses being passed from humans to animals. Well, that's not true anymore. Monkeypox can be transmitted between you and your furry friends through close contact, which includes cuddling, hugging, kissing, licking, smooching, sharing sleep areas and food. Animal carriers of the virus include rodents, dogs, primates, hedgehogs, and of course, a shrew. What to do if you get monkeypox? Disinfect your home. The pet should be isolated from other animals and other people for 21 days after most recent exposure. Wash your hands, use alcohol-based sanitizer, cover skin rash, wear long sleeves and pants if you have the monkeypox, wear gloves and a mask. What shouldn't you do with your pet if you get monkeypox? Avoid close contact. Do not surrender, euthanize, or abandon pets due to exposure or contraction of monkeypox. Do not wipe or bathe your pet with chemical disinfectants, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, hand sanitizer, counter-cleaning wipes, or other industrial surface cleansers. Do not mask your pet. Somehow I have all the feeling that all of these are directed at the MAGA people. And have you now heard about the MAGA people? They're not just MAGA people. They have now evolved over the last week into Ultra MAGA. And as of last night, I was reading about it. Ultra MAGA is not enough for many of these MAGA people. The next step is now Nuclear MAGA, which is very interesting based on the raid of Donald Trump's home. What if your pet gets monkeypox? Look for fatigue, lack of appetite, coughing, nasal secretions, bloating, fever, a pimple-like skin rash. Isolate from other animals for 3 weeks. Monkeypox and dogs. That's the search term that my doctor gave me. And here you go, dog infected with monkeypox. First case of human to dog monkeypox. First human to dog monkeypox. Whoa. I think we're in trouble. So then we were done talking about monkeypox, and I told him about the article that I read, I believe on CNN, about card players who had transferred monkeypox using the playing cards and the elbow bump instead of the fist bump. Transfer of monkeypox. And then he sent me off for my 9 minutes under the blue light special, that I call it, where I sit in front of a ganglia of about 12 different fluorescent blue lights. to try to prevent these things from popping up. And then I was on my merry way. So be careful of monkeypox. And if it can go to dogs, can it go to your cats? Oh boy, that would be bad. Now, we've talked briefly in the past about The Rehearsal, the Nathan Fiedler show on HBO. And it's having its season finale tomorrow. But last week's show that I have not yet discussed, just very briefly, was really out of this world fantastic. The woman in the scenario of The Rehearsal, playing his imaginary wife, and he has now stepped into the role of the imaginary husband, raising a fake child somewhere in Oregon. She, the actress playing the mother, appears to be highly religious and Christian-centered. Everything is a sin. Jesus is our savior. Poop jokes are not funny. And she plays this every week. Now, is she being her real self as an actress, or is she just being an actress upon an actress playing a Jesus freak, as they say in the stereotypical? And the show is very meta, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's layer upon layer upon layer on who she's playing. But last week's story was about raising their imaginary son. She's raising him to be strictly Christian, and he, being Jewish, gets a visit from his parents who say, "What are you doing? Why are we here?" And he, tells them what he's doing. And by the way, their fake grandchild is being raised Christian. And his mother immediately says, "But you're Jewish." And he said, "Yeah, I am, but I don't really know anything about it." And she said, "Well, it doesn't matter. You're the father. Do your thing. Why can't you raise the child with both religions?" So Nathan says, "Okay, I'll see what happens." And then he goes into a rehearsal to have with this woman who's playing his wife, with another actress who is, again, the acting on the show is fantastic. So this actress playing his rehearsal wife uses the same sort of nasal, whiny voice that the actress playing his wife in the show uses, except, of course, as they do with all the replacement players, they're more attractive and taller and very beautiful. Both the male and the females. It's very interesting. And she attacks him and says, "You're a big phony. You're not even a human being. I'm Christian, and we're not raising this child to be Jewish." So that's the rehearsal. So then he goes into the live scene with the woman pretending to be his wife, who appears to be strictly a Christ-centered. And he raises the topic very uncomfortably about raising the child with both religions. And she says, "Absolutely not." And he, of course, is weak and sappy and decides to raise his fake child with Judaism behind her back. So they go to temple with the fake child, who's now, I believe, 6. And the child is asking him all these questions. Why is the woman standing that way? Why is her hair? Why is her hair not showing? Why is he wearing a hat? And Nathan doesn't really know the answer to any of those questions. He said, I don't know. Let's find out. So then they go to a expert in Judaism, who is an older woman who lives in a house by herself. And she's going to be his tutor, the child's tutor. Well, the tutor for both of them. But after tutoring, they have to go home to this Jesus-centered actress playing the mother, who's suspicious of everything and sees Satan everywhere. So when they're at the teacher's house, Nathan gives the child a shower. And the tutor says, why is he always wet? Well, he splashes water on himself. And the whole idea is that when they get home, the lie that they're telling the Christ-centered mother is that they've been swimming. Not that they've been taking Judaism lessons behind her back. So then it eventually, of course, comes out that he's been doing this, and what's wrong with it? Why can't we have both? And she says, because there's no Christ in Judaism. Impossible. So he says, would you be willing to speak to the tutor? Let the tutor come over. And she says, okay. So the tutor comes over, and the tutor asks a very interesting question. It says, does Judaism and Christianity share the same values? And the woman who sees sin and Satan everywhere says yes. And the tutor says, okay, we have common ground. Let's start from there. And then the woman says there's nowhere else to go because you don't believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior. And the Judaism teacher says, no, I don't. She said, conversation over. There's nothing to discuss. You're not going to convince me that I'm wrong, that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. And then, who has been the voice of reason for the entire show, stands up, the Judaism teacher stands up and says, I'm not dealing with a religious bigot. I'm leaving. And Nathan's in shock, and we're in shock because this Judaism teacher has been fantastic for a half an hour of the show. It's like everything she's saying is right on target. And then the woman playing the mother, who is the believer in Christ, says, oh, no. I'm not giving up my beliefs. So Nathan has a conversation where they're saying, you really haven't been involved when I'm not here in playing your part as the mother on the show. You are supposed to be selling things. You're not selling things. So, there are things going on that I don't like. And she says, oh, finally it comes out. Well, she quits the show. She leaves. And then he's able to, at that time, take down all the Christmas decorations and put up all the Hanukkah stuff. And he invites the Judaism teacher to come over and sit. And then, in a great spin, the Judaism teacher starts talking about Israel and Palestine. And Nathan, what side are you on? You're a Jew. And as the credits are rolling, she is going on and on and on about giving money to Israel, and Palestine must be defeated, and that's not really a donut, and then she uses the correct term for donut. It's not a donut, it's a jelly-filled donut. And why don't you know the difference, Nathan? What's wrong with you? And we can see by the expression on his face that he has swapped one religious fanatic for another one. And it's very interesting. So, go watch that show if you didn't see it last week, because it's very well put together. It's absolutely fascinating. And tomorrow's the final show, the finale. And people kind of think it's going to be a meta on meta, that this is really Nathan's rehearsal because he's an incomplete person. So this whole show is a big show about him becoming a real and caring person, and it failed because he's still who he is, or it succeeded because now it is insight into himself. But you have to admit, it's really well done, super smart, terrific fun. So I hope that you check out The Rehearsal on HBO. It premieres Friday nights at 11 p.m. And then it's on HBO Max, I guess, on demand, whenever you want it and whenever you see fit. And now we're taking our very first blood pressure break, returning in a moment. And we are back from break here on Bowls.tv. BOLES.television. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Jana Marie Sweetheart on the weekends, 11 a.m., keeping the streak alive. Hey, dad joke. My friend said to me, "What rhymes with orange?" I said, "No, it doesn't." Cute, funny, I get it. Very hearing, as they say. Very English, but fun. So speaking about just one more thing about monkeypox. Last week, I guess, the state of New Jersey, under Phil Murphy, our governor, no longer required you to be a gay man to get the monkeypox vaccine, because now they know that it's starting to spread. Now, if you have multiple sexual partners, and you attest to that, you can get the monkeypox vaccine. So they've opened it up a little bit, but there isn't enough vaccine to go around. And my wondering is, when are they going to say, if you have a dog, you're now eligible to get the monkeypox vaccine? And it's interesting because unlike the COVID vaccine or the flu vaccine, you can only get a monkeypox vaccine in the state of New Jersey at 11 monkeypox vaccination sites. And they're not convenient, and there are 11 of them in a giant state. And as I tell myself ironically, or unironically, there are more places where you can go legally buy pot, a marijuana distribution center, licensed, then you can get a monkeypox vaccine. Something's going on with the values, a little upside down and sideways. So yesterday I was not complaining, sharing a story about my Xbox controller, which is new, and I actually love. It's heavy, it's very, I guess these are called paddles. I haven't found a game that they do anything with, though. But I figured out that the key to using this on a Windows 11 PC is to turn off the Xbox overlay. And you can't do it within the Xbox overlay because the Xbox overlay does not want itself to be turned off. It's like that hand thing. You turn the switch off and the hand comes out of the box and turns it back on. Turn off the switch and turns it back on. So you have to go into the system settings of your PC and turn it off while the Xbox overlay is not active or looking for you. And then you go into your Stray Cat game and you can finally jump out of the bucket and jump onto the trash bin and escape the red things that are trying to eat you. And I did. And now I am successfully in Chapter 4. I have met my robot friend, and he's telling me what I want to do, which I guess is going to the real world isn't possible. Okay. And then I found out about the Xbox One thing, something subscription thing that you can do on your PC. For $9 a month, you can play all the Microsoft games on your PC. You don't have to have an Xbox machine. And you can use your controller that you have to play all the games. So, Flight Simulator, here I come. Now, speaking about gaming and being online, it's very interesting to watch other people dealing with these DMCA takedown notices. And as I'm trying to find other streamers on Twitch to auto-host when this stream is not live, I came upon Kate. Now, this is Kate. Let's go to her page. I think she's live right now. No, she's not live. But this is Kate. That's Kate's photograph. Okay. This is Kate on the Twitter. A little bit different, right? Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. So Kate plays Nancy, and she works in Grand Theft Auto for Cerberus and Dean Watson and Buddha, and she's very funny, very efficient, wonderful role player. And she posted this on her Twitter stream in real life, IRL, after she'd done her show. And she said, I received 21 notifications of copywritten music on my stream today. No music is in the VODs and nothing is muted. None of these songs have ever appeared on my stream. I got 7 of these emails today alone. And she's a partner. She's big money for Twitch. And they're sending her these nasty nasty emails. So imagine a tiny streamer like me trying to figure out, oh gosh, is my music working? Can I play my YouTube videos? No. Oh, and Gordon says, Malka tells me her current place in Stray is in a red board of some kind of sort full of bugs. Have you seen it? The red bugs things is what I was talking about yesterday. And there's one early in the game where you have to shake them off or they eat you. It's very disturbing. But animated, so it's not gory or anything. And then another one where that I dealt with all day yesterday. And it took me about 10 times because the problem is you never know when you're running that you have to jump on top of the trash can. You just do a little bit of research online. They say you have to jump. So you just go there and you blindly jump because you're never prompted to jump to get away from the red things that are eating you. The red bugs. So I have a feeling that's what we're talking about. And to me, they ruined the game because the game is about interaction, looking around, learning things. And then to get to the next place, you have to go through these things that are attacking you that have no context, I guess, yet in this world. You just have to run away from them and shake them off and hope they don't kill you. It's very weird. So I feel for my friend Malka's frustration if she's having a hard time because it doesn't seem quite right. So Kate, whom I know is Nancy online, is getting dinged by Twitch, saying, hey, multiple instances, hey, we're hiding your videos from now on, so until you can clear them. Here are all the things you've done wrong. These are all the times we've caught your space. Your stream in these spaces, you're playing music that is not allowed. Here are the copyrighted works. Hurt Somebody by Akon, French Montana, Downtown by Headstones. And she's saying, I don't play those songs on my stream. I don't understand what's going on. Here she says, what's worse? The timestamps for the video on demands are often overlapping and stating that I'm playing multiple songs at the same time when I'm actually playing nothing. Now that is alarming and disturbing and very upsetting. And then you read the rest of her comments and you say, wow, there's no winning. Because Twitch right there is violating you for something that you didn't do. And when they violate you, even if it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, they violate you for 6 minutes. So all these times that she's been dinged, she has 6-minute chunks of where there's no video. So this is where it gets interesting in her chat. some Grand Theft Auto sounds, sirens, because it's a cop game where people steal cars. Those siren sounds are from public sound libraries that get sold and used in songs. I think that Akon song is the sirens, specifically, that you hear in Grand Theft Auto, that Akon has taken from a free sound library, put it in his song, and then he's spinning around and going to people like Kate and filing DMCA takedown notices because she's using music in her stream that's actually a siren from a cop car. And the person says, no effing way, dude. I usually get hit with the Hollywood sound siren number 3. So they even know which siren Akon is using that Grand Theft Auto also uses. It's Hollywood Sounds Siren number 3. Another person says, you are not alone. This happened to me as well. Submit a ticket. Another person says, this is the power of Twitter. This is the recent thing I think a lot of creators have been dealing with. My video on demands are also needing to be manually published. But if it means anything, all other creators I've spoken to are dealing with the same thing. And yes, it's also for songs that they don't listen to. And then Kate replies, well, at least I'm not alone. I think it makes sense. But it's worse, though. And then somebody makes a terrible joke. You know it's a false claim because nobody is listening to a French Montana song. And here we go. Who gave the copyright strikes? That's very interesting because I don't think it's Akon doing it. I think it's the automatic listening system that Twitch uses that is hitting her. Who gave the copyright strikes? Because I've had them coming in for the past 4 days as well, but on Facebook. Apparently, it's hitting a lot of Grand Theft Auto streamers across all platforms. Person says, well, if you read the email, no one is doing the strikes. There are no strikes, no claimants, no DMCA actions. This is Twitch's system trying to be proactive to warn you before you get in trouble. And it seems like it's being a little bit too cautious. I think it's the sirens. I get the same kind of notifications for the sirens in Persona 5 last year. So what are you going to do? You're trying to stream. You're streaming a game. You can't stream a game. That's why I'm very tempted to stream a game here of some kind. But all these games have music and sound effects. And if they're not creating them, or if someone is sampling, which I guess they can legally do now, sampling sounds from other sources and putting those sampled sounds in their song and then publishing it, and then turning around and saying, hey, that sound that I sampled from your stream is in my song. You're violating my song. It's just very, very vicious. And if you happen to be a cunning and an unkind person, you would find out, oh, Hollywood Siren number 3 is being streamed by 1,000 streamers a day. I'll take that siren, put it in my song, maybe change it up a little bit, modify it just a tinge, and turn around and sue all these 1,000 streamers, who I will claim are violating my song, but it's not my song, it's not my melody, it's the siren that I'm using that they're also using in their stream. Professor Gordon says, for what it's worth, the kids were watching a YouTube commenter sort of making fun of an Instagram comedian, and whenever that comedian would make use of a clip of a song, the commenter would substitute himself humming the melody to that song. I guess YouTube is okay with that. It really depends. It's all about the algorithm, as they say. A guy I like to watch a lot. He plays Eddie. He plays Underwood, the police officer. He also plays Igor on Grand Theft Auto. GTA wise guy. There are people who go around and who take clips of all these Twitch streamers and put them on their own YouTube site, and they call it Twitch Streamer Clips. Now, they don't have permission to take clips from GTA Wise Guy or any of the other streamers, and they're monetizing it and getting money back. So I guess GTA Wise Guy found out about it, filed a DMCA violation with YouTube, and the person who ran the clip site emailed him and said, look, you are my third takedown notice this week. I have 14 days to clear these, or they're going to take down my entire YouTube channel. Can you please withdraw your complaint against me? And I won't ever use your clips again. And he said, okay, I'll do that for you, but don't ever use my clips again. And I don't know how you're going to survive as a YouTube channel because you're stealing clips from other streamers and putting them on your YouTube. That's not a way to do business. If you have permission, that's different. But you didn't have my permission. But I will withdraw my complaint. So he did. And the person has not stolen any of his clips since then. But he's still taking clips from other people. So this is a very vicious circle. Which is why you try to come here and talk about things, create things, fair use of pieces of articles, not entire things that you're republishing. It's a very strange and unfortunate bit of a mess. But this is the problem, one of the problems I had with Sabet and an NFT that he was selling. And I was able to get one of them, and I played it on my live stream. It was an animated thing. It was a collaboration he did with some vocal artist. And I didn't know there was singing in the NFT. So I played it on my live stream. I immediately got a ding from Twitch and from YouTube. And I listened back to it, and I said, I didn't even know there was music. I didn't know there was even singing on this NFT, and it's really awful singing. It's a terrible performance. And it was after that that I learned that if I ever play a YouTube thing or a NFT, is turn off the sound. Because it took me weeks to get it resolved. And I went to Sabat and I said, you know, you should really have this in the description of the NFT that there's awful singing in the NFT so people know not to play it on their live streams to celebrate you. He said, what are you talking about? He didn't know there was music either. So he said he was going to talk to the artists and see if she could withdraw it, because he believes when you publish something, when you buy an NFT, Sabet believes you own it, the intellectual property. The IP becomes yours, where you can do whatever you want to with it. Just like the Bored Ape people, which is very smart. I love it. And she didn't do it. He asked her, and she didn't do it. She didn't take down the violation notices. Her name was on it. She did not change it. She did not modify it. She did not redo the NFT to remove her music. So I guess that was part of her plan, part of her scheme. And the funny part about it all is this artist woman said, hey, if all of the NFTs in that series sell out, I think there were like 20 of them and they had sold 3. So she said, if they all sell out within the next 10 days, I'll do a private concert for everyone who bought the NFT. I'll do it on Zoom. I'll serenade everyone. And for those of us who kind of got hit and dinged on this music we didn't know was there, it was a laughable moment. Because nobody wants your music. Nobody wants you to sing to us. We want your music removed from the NFT so we can use it for our own ends and our own desires. And I don't believe it ever sold out. I don't believe we ever heard from her again. Because before that, she was very active in the Sabet Discord. And after this issue was raised, we never heard from her again. But she didn't also do the right thing either, by withdrawing her complaints and by getting rid of the music that she had embedded unwittingly for all of us into her NFT. And now our Bowlsbot says we're in the middle of an ad break. So this might be a good time to take our next Plum Treasure break. Returning in a moment. And we are back from our break here on Bowls.tv, BOLES.television. BOLES, Bowls.tv. Hey, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And while we were away, Gordon had a couple of interesting things to say. One of the listicle YouTube channels we like regularly will play a clip of a new musician, and they'll say, well, if you like that, you can hear the rest of the song at the link in the description. We never like the clips they play. I don't understand how those make money. Because if you're playing a YouTube video, or even music, but let's say a YouTube video on your YouTube channel, YouTube knows everything about that video. Where it came from, if you originally published it, if it's coming from somewhere else. And if it's coming from somewhere else, you're going to be in big trouble because they're going to hit you and say you cannot monetize your entire video because of this little snippet that you used from a place. And I found that out the hard way when I was playing a brief clip, which to me is fair use, but I didn't want to argue it, from Matt Walker, from a TED Talk that he gave. And they said, well, you can't monetize this, or we can cut out that part for you. So I said, yeah, cut it out. And so they did, but it took a day. And when you get these violations, it's all part of an algorithm, where the algorithm listens to the audio track as the video is being processed to find violations. And YouTube's is very strict, very punishing. Twitch's is not as strict, but when it finds something wrong, it really punishes you. For a minimum of 6 minutes, YouTube generally punishes you for as long as the violation is being put into effect. Gordon also said BBC Radio 4 says that helium was discovered on this day in 1868 by Jules Janssen. Perhaps El Beyonce 2's fate history. I'm not sure if it's the helium or if it's the balloon that turns on our friend El Beyonce 2, who, by the way, has been missing in action ever since we discussed her transformation. I'm hoping she's okay. I have not heard from her. Her subscription has lapsed. I believe she no longer has the founder's badge, which is very sad and very disheartening. So I hope the medication or the change is going well for her. We wish her well. We would love for her to come back and say hello. But she's been gone for a month. But I've had no balloons for a month, so put up a few balloons and see what happens. And Gordon thinks that they have their ways for these YouTube videos. I'm not messing with it. I remember I early in the stream, I had a Vivo clip I was using to promote a movie, and a Sony video clip I was using to promote a movie, and both of them got hit. So I said, well, why release a movie trailer that you want everybody to watch, and people watch it and share about it in a live stream and talk about it and give you a good word of mouth, and then you turn around and hit them with a DMCA violation? Ooh. You learn your lesson. Now, the real problem is in this licensed music. And we license music from Slipstream and Monster Cat Gold and Pretzel Rocks. But it's really not worth it because you're using music that they say is fine, and then you get hit anyway. And then you have to fight with YouTube, and you have to go to Pretzel Rocks and Monster Cat and get them on your side to counter file against the violation. And what happens a lot of times is this music that is released freely to the public gets sold or picked up by other publishing houses, sometimes years later. So then they go back in time and they say, oh, remember that video on demand you published 5 years ago? And the music was open and free to use. Well, it's not anymore, and now we're taking all of your advertising money. And then you can go back and fight that and say, well, at that time I had a license, so I had the right to use that music, so you can't come after me. But a lot of people just give in because they don't want to have to go through that process, because it's a harrowing and time-consuming process. And you counterfile, and they have anywhere between 10 days and 30 days to decide to respond to you. And if they don't respond to you, then you win. But it still means your video is not available to be watched for 10 to 30 days. And even people there are artists, musicians, who say, everything that I write is free for anybody to use at any time. Now and forever. I will never sell. This is all donated to the public domain. And then what cunning musicians do is they go, oh, free, huh? And they take some of that song, the melody of the song, a snippet of the song, put it in their own music, monetize it, and go back and hit people. And the robots don't care. But the original song is in the public domain. Doesn't matter. It's been taken, transformed, made different by a different artist. It's ridiculous. And there's a story we have coming up. I don't know if we'll get to it today, and it's going to the Supreme Court about the transformation of art and public use and fair use. And it's a sticky wicket, as they say, and very dangerous. So this is our friend Alexander, our live and in-person brother Karamazov. And we had a very interesting conversation yesterday. He's very down, but he's also been on duty for about 3 days. So I'm going to share with you some of our conversation, but I can't show it to you because there's information in there that he shares that I don't want to get him in trouble or reveal where people are or what's happening soldier-wise. Some of it's okay. So I shared with him several videos and the Tom Nichols article that we read yesterday about how this war is going to end and what's happening. And this is Alexander's critique of what I shared with him. And the videos and the documentary and the articles on the Ukrainians fighting back, it's all on our Discord server, in our live links, and also in our Ukraine area. So Alexander said this about Tom Nichols. I'm interested in his article, and I agree with everything except for the fact that at the beginning, there was no aggression towards Ukrainians. Because I took a man from the city of Irpin and heard about what atrocities were going on from eyewitnesses. We are different, yes. Those who live near the border with Russia, they borrow some from them. It is better to die than to be a slave. That is a common theme in what Alexander tells us, so that must be very rampant in Ukraine, that if Putin wins, we will be his slaves. I am afraid that Europe will get tired of helping us, but I understand that we are not the last resort, and Putin has already said so. And then I shared a video with him in Russian that, to me, looked interesting. Not so fast. Alexander said terrible lies. That's why I try to show you that there is nothing to what Russia says, and that we, Ukraine, are all as one. There are only lies in that documentary. I have friends near Kharkov. Their city was destroyed from Russian planes. My friend has no home, and they say in that documentary that Russia is white and fluffy. And in another video that I shared with him, this is his critique. We will stand up for our freedom, and we will die if we have to. I am proud that the majority refused to leave when they could. We were on duty for 3 months for free, day and night. 2 days at home. And then, he was it was his bedtime, but he was kind of getting wound up. So before I could even reply to him, he said, "When I talk about difficulties, I'm not complaining. I just want to show that there are many of us, those who are trying to help their motherland for free, to the detriment of their family. I could not go into debt. I could live peacefully or go abroad. I have 3 minor children, but I would be ashamed to do so. We are a support and a rear, and if necessary, I will go to the front with a submachine gun. There are exercises every week. One thing I want to know is that my family is fine. I love them very much, even though it's true that I have become a bad father. Too little attention to my wife and to my children." And then he sent me this, which I guess is his credit card. And all the things he told me he's maxed out his credit cards. So you can see how much he's spending and on what days. And he says it's taken a lot from his home and from his kids. Gordon says, "I was told recently that borscht, long thought to be Russian, in origin is in fact Ukrainian." And Gordon gives us a link. And examine the link. Oh, there's no link. Oh, there's the link. Ukrainian borscht cooking. Very interesting. Very good. I like. Fabulous. The UNESCO website. Fabulous. Terrific. So then Alexander continued, again, before I could reply, said, "No offense, I'm emotional about this kind of propaganda." The videos that I thought I was sharing with him. Just from the point of view of this is what we're seeing in America, is this true? That's what I asked him. Because I've already lost 2 friends. I was living a quiet, normal life. Now I'm just burning in the middle. Today we raised the shortfall. Just a couple more hours and I will be on my way home. That's how, literally, on 4 to 10 euros, we collected today. It's not out of pity. People are giving their last. I have a lot of respect and love for you. I'm showing you my life unvarnished. Sorry again if I'm emotional. I'm really mentally exhausted. Good night to you and have a peaceful sky over your head. So that's what he's dealing with every day. It's disturbing. And you really do wonder how this will ever end. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. And speaking of war and regret, fantastic in the most horrendous, hideous sort of way. A South Carolina GOP lawmaker chokes up, describing a teen who is at risk of losing her uterus due to an abortion ban he voted for. The poor kitten says, "That whole week I didn't sleep." Oh, you didn't sleep? And now you want pity? Now you're saying, oh, I guess the things that I vote for really have effect on people. Ugh. So disgusting. State Rep Neil Collins held back tears on Tuesday over the impact of an abortion ban he voted for. The South Carolina Republican said a 19-year-old's abortion was delayed even though the fetus was unviable. He said he opposed a proposed bill that would ban nearly all abortions in the state. Oh, what a nice guy. A 19-year-old girl appeared in the emergency room. She was 15 weeks pregnant. Her water broke. The fetus was unviable. The doctor said the standard of care was to advise her to go home or to extract the fetus. Attorneys told the doctors that because of the fetal heartbeat bill, because that 15-week-old ban had a heartbeat, because the 15, is very funnily written because this is the senator talking. So I'll try to translate a little bit. Because the 15-week-old fetus had a heartbeat, the doctors could not remove the fetus from the woman. They could have admitted the teen until the heartbeat stopped, but there was no way of knowing how long, so she was sent home. The doctor told the senator that the woman would likely pass the fetus in the toilet, and that she's going to have to deal with that on her own. The doctor also said there was a 50% chance the teen would lose her uterus and a 10% chance she would develop sepsis and die. He followed up with the doctor and learned the teen was able to come in 2 weeks later because the heartbeat had stopped and they were finally able to extract the fetus. We do matter. What we do matters, Collins said, as he again appeared to hold back tears. Crocodile tears. Gordon says, this from the All Lives Matter crowd. Exactly. And then in the state of piling on, hey, did you hear about Florida? A Florida court decides a 16-year-old girl is just not mature enough to have an abortion. So instead, she's going to have a forced birth. A parentless 16-year-old in Florida was 10 weeks pregnant and wants an abortion. A trial court found the girl did not prove, by clear and convincing evidence, that she was sufficiently mature to decide whether to terminate her pregnancy. The judicial bypass was denied. In a collective opinion issued Monday, a Florida appellate court agreed. Gordon says she's mature enough to have a child. Ugh. It's not about the woman. It's all about the life. Which life? This teenager is old enough to have sex and give birth, but she's too young to decide that she wants to have an abortion. So she'll be forced to carry her pregnancy to term instead of being able to exercise her bodily autonomy. Though abortion is still legal in Florida up to 15 weeks, the girl was hung out to dry by the legal system. Delay, right? Judge describes the teenager's heartbreaking situation in this partial dissent. The minor is almost 17 years old and parentless. She lives with a relative but has an appointed guardian. She is pursuing a GED with involvement in a program designed to assist young women who have experienced trauma in their lives by providing educational support and counseling. The minor experienced renewed trauma, the death of a friend, shortly before she decided to seek termination of her pregnancy. The trial judge ruled that the minor may be able, at a later date, to adequately articulate her request, and the court may evaluate its decision at that time. The girl was already 10 weeks pregnant at the time. The pregnant girl's resolve is being used against her. The trial judge seemed to push their own agenda onto the 16-year-old pregnant patient. The appellate court dissent said the girl had done research and reviewed a pamphlet about the medical options. Not enough. The girl couldn't seem to make the right decision no matter what she did. In the eyes of the judiciary-backed adults around her, she's far from alone. When a 17-year-old girl in Florida called Jane Doe sought judicial bypass to have an abortion without the involvement of her parents, as state law requires, The judge presiding over her case deemed her GPA too low. And hey, did you hear about the woman in Louisiana with the headless fetus? Well, she was forced to carry a fetus to term by her state or travel to, believe it or not, Florida for a legal abortion. And all of these stories are just going to be piling up and piling up and piling up. And all these hardcore Republicans are going to have to stand up and say, yeah. You know, that headless fetus, carry it to term. There's no head there, but there is a heartbeat. We don't know how. The Lord works in mysterious ways. A pregnant woman in Louisiana says she's being forced to choose between carrying a fetus that lacks a skull and the top of its head as a result of a rare condition called acrania to term. Or she can travel several states away for a legal abortion because Louisiana has banned abortion with very narrow exceptions. It's hard knowing that I'm carrying it to bury it, said Nancy Davis, who's 13 weeks pregnant and is already the mother of one child. A few weeks ago, she had her first ultrasound and was told the fetus would not survive. But, hey, Louisiana, she would have to either carry and birth the non-viable fetus or travel to Florida, not for vacation, but the closest state where abortion is still legal. Last Friday, the Louisiana Supreme Court allowed the state's ban, which bans care except to save a person's life or in some cases when the fetus won't survive, to take effect. For Davis, one Louisiana doctor testified in an affidavit challenging the ban that her patient was forced to endure a painful, hours-long labor to deliver a non-viable fetus despite her wishes and best medical advice. The doctor said her patient was screaming, not from pain, but from the emotional trauma she was experiencing. It took hours for the woman's placenta to deliver, causing her to hemorrhage about a liter of blood, which placed her own life in danger. A simple abortion procedure would have lasted 15 minutes. This was the first time in my 15-year career as a doctor that I could not give a patient the care they need. The state threatens doctors and abortion providers who violate the ban with 10 to 15 years in prison. Louisiana doctors have said the ban was forced them to fear they could go to prison for handling a miscarriage. How close to death must the patient be before an intervention in Louisiana? Doctors are unsure what counts as a medically futile pregnancy. Republicans are pushing a ban to ban birth control and in vitro fertilization. Hospitals are denying rape victims emergency contraception. Top anti-abortion activists are romanticizing the new reality of 13-year-old forced parents. And in Louisiana, the state can force you to carry a headless fetus. As horror stories of immeasurable suffering pour in on a nearly daily basis, we can't afford to become desensitized to any of it. We live in interesting times. And now we take our final blood pressure break of the day, returning in a moment. And hey, here we are back from break. I'm David Bowles, Bowles TV, BOLES.TV, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Well, I'm going to finish up today with a very interesting article that has been hiding from me for at least, I think, a week. I have been trying to do this story for a week, and it's about how thinking can make you tired. And every time I think I have it in my queue to fire up to talk about it, it's in my list of things to talk about, and then I look for the article, it's not there. I look for it in my saved places, I find it, I put it, it's not there. It's there, and then the next day it's not there. And now it's here, because I just forced it to be back there, because I found it yesterday and it disappeared. Who's tired? I'm not tired. You're tired. I'm not napping. You're napping. Mental strain can lead to changes in brain physiology that cause feelings of tiredness. Hey, it's not just in your head. A desire to curl up on the couch after a day spent toiling at the computer could be a physiological response to mentally demanding work, according to a study that links mental fatigue to changes in brain metabolism. Now, I had a conversation with a person who shall remain nameless. Some people call her Jana Marie Sweetheart, but that's not her real name. Who said yesterday she spent all day sitting in front of her computer and exhausted her. Usually she's making calls, having meetings, but yesterday was a computer day. And she said, I don't know how you sit in front of a computer all day long and not go crazy. And I said, exactly. I am crazy. The study, published on 11 August in Current Biology, found the participants who spent more than 6 hours working on a tedious and mentally taxing assignment had higher levels of glutamate, an important signaling molecule in the brain. Too much glutamate can disrupt brain function, and a rest period could allow the brain to restore proper regulation of the molecule. I'm all for all of this. Tired brain. It's not like when you're exercising a skeletal muscle, but it's perceptible when you start getting tired. The team enrolled 40 participants, assigned 24 of them to perform a challenging task. For example, watching letters appear on a computer screen every 1.6 seconds and documenting when one matched a letter that appeared 3 letters ago. Now that I couldn't do. Just reading that, I'm very tired. I'm ready for my nap. The other 16 participants were asked to perform a similar but easier task. I'll take that one. Both teams worked for just over 6 hours. With 2 10-minute breaks. I would be out after the first one. I'd say, I've had enough of this. Standing in line, looking at things flashing on my computer, same thing. I won't do it. The researchers found that the participants who labored on the more difficult task had accumulated more glutamate in this region of the brain by the end of the day than those who had worked on the easier task. And given a choice between an immediate cash reward and a larger reward that would come months later, they were more likely to choose the smaller short-term reward than they were at the start of the day. Get me out of here as fast as you can. So there you go. Thinking makes you tired. And we have all been there, and we all understand that. And I again quote the great Bill Gates, who has said very clearly many times that when he was at Microsoft and there was a difficult, complex task that had to be figured out, shared, and completed, he would look for the laziest person in the room and assign that complicated task to them. Because super genius Bill Gates' reasoning was, lazy people want to get from here to here with the least amount of friction and the least amount of effort. They know how to draw a straight line. Other people who are complex and complicated and give it a complex and complicated thing to solve, their answer is complex and complicated. Well, it could be this, that, go here first, go that. The lazy person says, oh, we want to go from here to here? Well, let's go from this and then go right here. Where other people go, we're going to go from here. Go here first, then over here, then we end up here. And we have it all figured out. So I think that's very interesting thinking. That there is value in what Bill Gates calls being lazy. But that's a talent, right? A lazy person has a talent that maybe hyper-annuated type A personalities who tend to work for Microsoft have. Go, 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 go. Fast, 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 fast. But it's complicated, hard to understand. Give a lazy person something to do and they're going to figure it out in their time. And it's going to be very seamless and very simple. And they probably have a much more relaxed brain. Not as much glutamate as the rest of us. And hey, that's our show for today. We've been around, we've been up and down. We've talked about Xboxes and we've talked about fetuses without a head. Hey, it's an old-time variety show. With no singing or dancing because it's not allowed by YouTube. If you have any questions or concerns, you can go into our Discord server, post a question there. I post links to some of the stuff we talk about that I find most interesting. You can post as well. Gordon sings, round, round, get around, we've gotten around. I believe that's a Beach Boys quote, if I'm not missing it. Unless we write the music and lyrics, of course. Well, see, that's what happens. People they have original stuff, they put it on YouTube, and these other miscreants go, sample it, steal it, and then monetize their songs and go back and take their ad revenue from their original music performance. It's terrible. And you can fight it, but it costs you time and money. Gordon says, from Winter Garden, Florida, thanks for having us. And we reply dutifully, we shall see you in a day or two and have more ideas for you. If you have any questions, you can email me, david@bowles.tv. On Twitter, we are @DavidBowles. Super follow to follow. On Facebook, our business page is BOLES. Instagram, Bowles Books. TikTok, Bowles TV. Big thing on the news today about how 10 years ago, Facebook had 72% of kids between the ages of, 12 and 15, 12 and 17, and now Facebook has 16%, and TikTok is number one. So Facebook now is for old people. That's where your parents are. And no kid wants to hang out where mom and dad are looking at them, messaging them. So you can find us on our Discord server. Have fun there. TikTok is big. YouTube also, I guess is now social media. And that's very big with the kids. They love YouTube. So it's video. Instagram is not doing horribly. Tumblr's dead. WordPress brought Tumblr, right? Automatic. I don't know why. I didn't understand it then. Still don't understand it. I don't understand what the value of Tumblr is. But I believe my podcast is automatically posted to my Tumblr account, if there is such a thing anymore. And I guess that's why Facebook is trying so hard to change Instagram to be more like TikTok. And they want it dark, and they want automatic reels and automatic feeds, and people protested. The Kardashians said, don't mess with Instagram. And you lose the Kardashians, you've lost the war and the battle. But are they going to go on TikTok? I don't know. I don't understand TikTok. I do understand that it's sort of run and controlled by Chinese nationals which is a security concern for many people who know more than I know. So until tomorrow, I hope you have a wonderful nap, a great rest, a wonderful day, and when ye shall awaken, may your soul be filled with joy, and maybe only a few stories of the unborn headless fetus. Have a good day. We're all going to try. I'll see you tomorrow.